I've always been obsessed with history and folklore and mythology and archaeology, and you can't help but feel closer to that when you're doing a process like this, and inspired endlessly by it. All the visual side of the things that we do are based on artistic designs really from the past. Nothing really that a Roman or a medieval leatherworker wouldn't understand about our process at all. It's all very much of the same sort of thing. Part of it is knowing that you're making something could still be looked at by people in hundreds of years. A lot of the techniques that we use, you know, I've looked at bits of Roman leatherwork and they use the same shaped awls and they're stitched in the same way. I've looked at a bit of a Roman tent and that was made in exactly the same way. So, you know, you've got 2,000 years of using the identical tool in your hand every time you pick that up, and nothing's changed. You can't help but feel like you're in part of a long line then, that you're continuing the skills. Most of the tools that we use, the design hasn't changed in thousands of years in some cases. The threads we use are linen threads. It's all absolutely archaic in some ways, and we use these older techniques to produce things for people in the modern day, and that's a pretty lucky position to be in. Knowing that you're just a link in a long chain really stretching into the past and into the future.
What we do taps into that vein of making things to be left for the next generation to be used and used and used until they literally fall to pieces. I often get this vision in my mind of all hands coming through time, just touching and holding on to the things, so that encourages me to make sure that they're made properly so they will last over time for generations to come, and something people talk about in their family history. I can be sat in my chair with a needle in my hand, but my mind can be out in nature, sat at the lake somewhere. The materials tell you how fast you can go. It's not something that you can rush. I can only sew as fast as the leather will let me sew, and I know that the Roman guy who sat there with the needle and thread, he knew how long it took him to make that, and it's exactly the same now with me.
Leather's probably the oldest material known to man. The fact that we're sort of continuing with the tradition is a pretty nice thing, and not something that everyone gets to do really. It answers questions that your soul's asking. I think it's a good thing. It keeps me sane, working with my hands, using my imagination and creativity. Your soul goes into the material. You know, that could be around for hundreds of years. You've left something of yourself in the world. There's a legacy